We good? Good morning, everyone. I hear a lot of noise out in the hall, so if anybody's over there, I'll invite you all to invite them in to the parish hall so we can get started. If somebody can go out there and gather folks in. I see a few more folks out in the hall. If somebody wants to let them know we're getting ready to start, that would be wonderful. And let's hope we have some more folks trickle in. Are we good, Sue? Y'all got quiet. We're not starting yet. We're going to get everybody in here. Are we good, Lizette? Are we good? We're good? All right, we'll assume we're good. Good morning. I'm glad you all are here this morning. We have a lot of things that we're going to talk about today, a lot of consequential things that are exciting for the life of the church, and yet we need to talk about them, and we need to have this opportunity to where we can come together as community and really walk through some of these things that are going to be happening together. But as we always do, let us begin with prayer. So the Lord be with you. Let us pray. Almighty and ever-living God, ruler of all things in heaven and earth, hear our prayers for this parish family. Strengthen the faithful, arouse the careless, and restore the penitent. Grant us all things necessary for our common life, and bring us all to be of one heart and mind within your holy church. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. All right. Let me tell you, just give you an idea of what our agenda is going to be this morning. We have a lot more to cover than I initially thought we were going to talk about this morning. But it's been a while since we've gathered like this, and so I wanted to take the opportunity with a captive audience to go over some things for us in the coming months and really the next couple of years. So I want to start by talking about the summer schedule that will begin on June 1st, which is a Sunday. 3 years ago, if you remember, we were displaced from our sanctuary because of renovations, and then that displacement was extended because of the need to renovate the renovations. And so we made a shift that summer to be in here for all of our worship out of necessity, and we had breakfast in between, and we had formation for the entire congregation with intergenerational Sunday school in here. That was, believe it or not, that was 2 years ago. No, 2 years ago. Last year, because of the favorable, for the most part, response to that, we decided to make a tradition. And you know, in the life of the Episcopal Church, if you do things once, it becomes tradition. And so last year, we did the same thing. In the summer, we shifted our service schedule to be 8 o'clock and then 10:30 service, and we alternated back and forth, contemporary and traditional. And everything was done in here, including our potluck breakfast. So, because it's tradition and we've always done it this way, we will shift starting June 1st. However, we have tweaked things just a little bit. We always are listening, even if you think we're not. We're always listening to feedback and response. And one of the things that we wanted to make sure we did was to respond to some of the concerns and frustrations about making shifts like that without taking all things into consideration. So for this summer, first of all, one of the shifts is we're going to do for all 3 months of the summer, June, July, and August. The second shift that we're going to make is that we will alternate contemporary and traditional at 10:30, but if we do traditional, we will be in the sanctuary, not in here. If we do contemporary, we'll be in here and not in the sanctuary. So that way, all of our worshiping communities, and that's important to keep this in mind as we go along with our conversation this morning, we really have 3 distinct worshiping communities. And so, though we will be a blended community at 10:30 during the summer, we still honor the different worship spaces where we worship. So, we will not do traditional in here. We will not do contemporary over there. And the first Sunday, June 1st, will be traditional. So, we will have traditional worship for that day. However, what we will continue to do is potluck breakfast every Sunday. Now, you know that ebbs and flows. Right? We always start out strong, and then it kind of dips a little bit, and then it gets strong again. So we need to expect that. But this will be set up with tables and chairs every Sunday. And if we do worship in here with contemporary, we'll do it in the round, not necessarily set up like this, because we'll be set up for breakfast. So right after the 8 o'clock service, around 9 o'clock until 9:45, we'll have potluck breakfast. We invite everybody who is able and willing to bring something to share. Don't just bring your own little breakfast. Bring something to share for everyone. And then at 9:45, we will have combined intergenerational parish-wide formation in here in the parish hall. We'll do that from 9:45 to 10:15, and then we'll break, either resetting this room in terms of making sure it's clean for worship in here, or transitioning over to the sanctuary for traditional right to worship. That's coming up, and believe it or not, it's coming up in 2 weeks because next Sunday is the last Sunday in May. So we've been advertising this for a while now. Now, hopefully you have a fuller understanding of what Sunday is going to look like. We will and have put out what Sunday will be what service at the 10:30 service, and it's going to be up to you to also be mindful of that. If you start with Sunday, June 1st, with traditional, then just alternate each week. So you know the second Sunday is going to be contemporary. 8 o'clock will always be over here, right one. We will continue with that service as well. All right? Dare I ask, any questions about the schedule? Not whether or not you like it, but do you have any questions about the schedule or any of the details of what Sunday morning is going to look like June, July, and August? Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that's the parish-wide formation in here. That's for all ages, 9:45 to 10:15, and that will follow breakfast. Yeah, so there's just one formation offering, and it's for the entire congregation. And myself and Mother Victoria and Alex will be kind of rotating leadership in that. Okay. The preview is in the spotlight, so read the stuff we send out to you. Great question. Anything else? All right. I'm going to invite Alex to come up at this time. Is he here? Yeah, he's standing in the back. He better be here. At this time, we want to make sure that we don't have a lot this year, but every year we like to honor our graduates. And so I'm going to hand that over to Alex, and I'm going to invite him to come over here to speak into the mic so people at home can hear you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It is a fabulous day today. Today, we get to do something really cool in the life of the church. In the life of the church, we get to honor all of us in different ways throughout all our entire lives, whether it's baptisms at the beginning of life or funerals at the end of our lives, and then everything in between. Today, we get to honor our accomplishments and those in our parish who've accomplished many good things, and that specifically is our graduates. So we're really excited to, even though there are not many and there are a few, they are still here, and we still want to celebrate them and honor them. So at this time, I would like our graduates who are here, if you would come to the front and stand here in the center, if you would. I think that is Britt and Michael, who are here today, this morning. If you guys will stand right here and face the congregation. First of all, I'm going to hand you your gifts. Perfect. Yes. Now, if you would, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. If you would answer for us 3 quick questions for us to get to know you a little bit. First, your name, where you're graduating from, and where you're heading off to next, whether that be a career or your college that you're headed to. So, Michael, if you'll start us off. Sure. Michael, and you can step into the mic.
Yeah. So I just completed a bachelor's degree in accounting at Western Governors University. I've been doing accounting all my adult life, so it was about time to get that accomplishment done. May I add, you're never too old to start school. So I started at 59 2 years ago, and I'm just finished in February. So very proud to be able to get that accomplished.
I'm Britt. I'm graduating from Clear Falls High School, and I'm going to go to University of Alabama for marketing.
So in honor of, that's fantastic. That's all really wonderful. In honor of your graduation, St. Chris and the women of St. Chris and the thrift shop would like to present the gifts that you have to you as a congratulations on all your achievements. I hope they serve you well in times of work and play, because we need both in our lives. And we are so proud of you, and our prayers go with you. And with that, we'd like to say a prayer over you before we send you back. So the Lord be with you. God of journeys, endings, and new beginnings, through the highs and lows, the twists and turns, these graduates have faced along the way. We have faith that your love has guided them from the moment they began up to graduation day. We give you thanks and praise for the goodness that shines in the relationships formed, knowledge learned, and memories made through their schooling. Bless the body, mind, and soul of these graduates, that they may celebrate your glory in themselves and all creation, and use their education to build your kingdom of peace. Amen. Congratulations.
Thank you, Alex. Britt, real quick, what are you going to study? Marketing. All right. Well, you'll come back and serve the church after you're done. All right. Good idea. All right. Thank you, Alex, and congratulations again to all of our graduates. We did have some others that graduated. They're not here with us, but we also honor them and say congratulations to them as well. Next thing on our agenda, real quickly, you should have been seeing this for a long time now throughout the course of this year as a Save the Date. And we're getting to the point now where it's not a Save the Date anymore. We're just a few months away from our Platinum Jubilee celebration. Now, one of the things that might be unique, and you may have picked up on it, I don't think it might be unique. It is unique. This graphic might look familiar because I stole it from the Queen and then put our shield on it. And one of the things that I discovered as we were thinking about how to celebrate our 70 years here at St. Chris, I discovered the idea of a Platinum Jubilee is really assigned to a monarch. It's not a normal thing just to celebrate a Platinum Jubilee. Well, now we have normalized it here at St. Christopher. That's right. That's right. Jesus is King, and so we celebrate our Platinum Jubilee at St. Christopher. It's going to be a full weekend, November 1st and 2nd. I want to give you a little bit more detail now. We are going to have a celebratory banquet on Saturday, November 1st. It will be in the evening. It will be at South Shore Harbor Country Club, just right around the corner. Say again? Shelf. Yeah, it is. You know, I swear, it does not matter how many times I go over it and use spell check. When I do it all caps, it doesn't pick it up. So it's going to be at South Shore Harbor Country Club. Thank you, Gary, for that. I appreciate that. So there's going to be errors throughout this whole thing now, so just go ahead and feel free to point them out as we go. It's going to be a celebratory banquet, and it's going to be open for all folks. We will have childcare that evening for itty-bitties. It's going to be a time for us to come together, break bread with one another, celebrate with one another. We're going to have some very, very, very special guests that evening, many of which you know from years past. It's going to be a fantastic time for us to celebrate. So, one of the things I want to make sure you know is coming up in the month of June. We've had a committee working on this for a while now. You're going to start to see registrations, buying a banquet ticket. It's a very reasonable cost. It's going to be offset. The vestry doesn't know this yet, but I'm telling the vestry now. The cost will be offset by some resources that we will use to make it very, very manageable for anybody who wants to attend. And of course, we'll also have some assistance for those who need it. The next morning, we will have one service and one service only at 10 a.m., and that will be a celebratory Eucharist. We will do it in our sanctuary. It will be one of the few times that we will bring back blended worship. So we're going to have Rite 1, we're going to have Rite 2, we're going to have contemporary. We might even have a little 1928 sprinkled in there from time to time. It's going to move everybody's cheese. So everybody will sit there angry celebrating. It'll be great. It'll be wonderful. And then afterwards, we're going to have a parish picnic. And depending on the weather, we'll be inside, outside, or fully inside. We're going to have things for kiddos outside to have some playtime. It's going to be a great, great day. It'll be lunch. Cool Cow Creamery is going to be here. I'm really excited. So please make sure you now have that entire weekend set aside to come be a part of our celebration and our 70 years together as St. Christopher Episcopal Church. I don't need to have any questions asked about that. We'll have more details coming out soon. I wanted to take the opportunity, since we were all here, to talk about our growing needs because of our growing congregation. You all have heard me say this many, many times before, but I'm going to tell you again. We have growing needs, in particular when it comes to the worship of this congregation. especially at 8 o'clock, we have the need for lems and acolytes. Now, that service is a small service, and it always has been. We go anywhere from 25 to 50 in that service, and yet, just because you don't go to that service doesn't mean you can't be a worship leader in that service. We really have a very small group of people that carry an extremely heavy load. So I invite you to consider being a lem or an acolyte for the 8 o'clock service. Now, along with that, we have needs across all three of our services for audiovisual ministers. This, I know for many of you, is an intimidating thing. We have done all we can do to make it super, super easy. So we would love to have you be a part of that, to help us lead that ministry. One of the things that maybe some of you all don't know is that when it comes to those people who participate in our worship online, meaning watching through our YouTube feed or through our Facebook feed, depending on which service they're participating in, we get anywhere from 300 to 500 hits every week from all over the world, not just the country, the world. And we want to continue to make this an offering to people, not just who might be homebound from our congregation, but as a ministry to the entire world. And this is unique for St. Christopher. You're going to hear me say that more than one time, St. Christopher being unique this morning. This is unique for St. Christopher because I am here to tell you that there are many congregations that have completely shut down their online broadcasts because for various different reasons. And those that do, they don't get the hits like we do because of the quality of what we do and the quality of our equipment and the quality of our ministers who do this ministry. So I really invite you to consider doing this. We will hold your hand until you no longer need your hand held. But we need you. So please consider that ministry as well. And as always, we need more ushers, more greeters, more welcome ministers. We have a couple of openings now for our office angels who either work a morning shift or an afternoon shift helping Alyssa to answer phones, helping the clergy and the staff to do little projects. It's a great way to be a part of and see the inner workings of the parish during the day, during the week. So if that's something you're interested in doing, please reach out to me, reach out to Alyssa, and she can let you know which dates are available and what it looks like to be a part of that ministry as well. All right, you don't need... Yes, please. Oh, Altar Guild. Sorry, McKim. Altar Guild always needs help. They carry such a heavy load. Many people forget that they prep this space as well. It's not just the sanctuary. And so they're stretched thin all the time. So McKim, go see her. She'll get you set up. She'll get you on a team. She'll get you trained. Thank you, McKim. Yeah. All right, next thing I want to report on, which we haven't done in a while, is the St. Christopher Foundation. We have done very little in terms of doing any sort of distributions. In fact, we haven't done any distributions from the St. Christopher Foundation. For those of y'all who don't know or have forgotten, Bob Chapoulis left his estate to St. Christopher, and out of the wishes that he had in his giving to the church, he wanted to establish a permanent endowment. And that permanent endowment was funded with $3 million to live in perpetuity for the life of the community, not just St. Christopher, but to reach the surrounding area and even across the globe in some of the areas that Bob wanted to support. We created a board of trustees. That board of trustees has met several times. We are finalizing our policies and procedures, and our plan is to begin distributing some of those funds out of the St. Christopher Foundation at the end of the summer to start that process. It's going to be slow because honestly, we didn't know what we're doing. We kind of know what we're doing now. We've had some good training and we have quality people who are part of that board of trustees. In fact, if you're a member of the board of trustees, will you please stand? I know we've got several in here. Yeah, and yes, thank you all very much. Y'all can sit. I do want to give you a financial update on the foundation. Remember, the initial seed was $3 million. And as you probably know personally, with your finances, the foundation has not been immune to the ups and downs of the market. However, I'm pleased to report to you as of this morning, I checked this morning, now this could change tomorrow, but as of this morning, our investment now is $3.3 million. So we have gained some of the losses that we had earlier this year and late last year back. And the policies and procedures allow us to take a percentage of what we earn to distribute in grants to different ministries and different organizations. We remember, unless the initial investment dips below because of the market, we will never dip below that $3 million. It's to live in perpetuity. And so we will, out of that gravy, if you will, that $300,000 that's been earned so far, we will take a portion of that and distribute it, and the rest will be reinvested back into the initial corpus and allowing that initial corpus to grow. Okay? I will take a question or two about the foundation. Barbara. Yeah, so part of this foundation, this is not the Bob Chapoulis Foundation. This is the St. Christopher Foundation. And at some point, hopefully by the end of the year, we will have some literature that goes with this foundation, and perhaps even having some gatherings to talk about it in 2026, to talk about what legacy giving is. And this legacy that Bob has given to the life of the church can also be something that you consider as you think about your giving to the life of the church. Whether it's in an estate or whether it's currently and you just want to contribute to it. You can see very quickly in 2 years, and we were actually close to up to 3.5 at one point. And again, the market comes up and down. But in 2 years, we've gone from $3 million to $3.3 million. It grows very, very quickly. And the more that we have in legacy giving given into that foundation, the more lives it is going to touch and the more ministries it's going to support. So thank you. Great question. David.
How are you going to determine who the money goes to? Are you going to accept petitions?
Yeah, so it's the Board of Trustees will ultimately decide. The foundation is in a donor-advised fund through Morgan Stanley, and Morgan Stanley does all the vetting. And so part of our policies and procedures that we're starting to finalize is going to be the grant process and how we communicate that to not just St. Christopher, but the wider community to apply for grants. And then the Board of Trustees, after the Donor Advised Fund does the vetting of the institutions to verify that they're legitimate institutions that can receive funds, then the Board of Trustees will decide who and how much.
In my role in the community, I've seen something that might make it, has a need, so that's why I asked.
Yeah, and before any distributions take place on any given year, there will be time for people to apply for grants or ministries or organizations to apply for grants. Yeah, great question. Anything else? All right, great gift to the life of the church, and as we move forward, it'll continue to grow. I'm not going to take any questions on this, but I'm going to tell you some things about it. We are nearing completion. These are actually old pictures now. I took those a couple days ago, and there's already been some additional things that have happened in there. Our hospitality center is nearing its completion. Remember, this is not a new welcome center. There's been some confusion about that. This is a hospitality center. When we shifted and built a new dedicated welcome center in the center of our campus, we took away the old welcome center, which really wasn't a welcome center. It was a hospitality center for coffee and donuts for our people, and made it into more of a classroom style space. We realized very quickly, well, now we need a hospitality space. We need a place where we can gather and drink coffee between services and before formation, and have some donuts that will be coming back in the fall, and kolaches and that sort of thing. And so we have taken what was used to be known as Bob Chapoulis' classroom at Classroom 1, and we have really renovated that and reformed it into our new hospitality center that includes a permanent coffee bar. We've done some updating to our updating, and again, I'm not going to take any questions on that. We did it, and we'll move on. I'm excited about this. My hope is that this will be done probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks, but we are not planning right now to utilize it until September 1. I'll tell you why in just a minute. But right now, the plan is not to utilize it. It may be that we're ready to go in August. What we need you to know is that just because the construction is done doesn't mean it's ready to be used, because we also have to furnish it. We have to come up with some policies and procedures for its use, and we also have to get some artwork on the wall, and we're not going to rush that. We want to make sure we do that thoughtfully and take everybody's needs into consideration when we ultimately debut that for its use. So, I'm excited about that. I hope you are, and we will continue to keep you updated as we go. So, with that comes this next thing. Here we go. Everybody take a breath. Blow it out. Now really take a deep breath and blow it out. All right. The time has come, brothers and sisters. I want to give you some background before I tell you what that means. Prior to reopening, let's move a little forward. When we came back into full worship with one another after being shut down because of COVID, we had 3 distinct service times. And we had that for a while. We established it. It was really before Easter 2021, but we had an 8 o'clock right one, we had a 10 o'clock right two, and we had 11:30 contemporary. And we squeezed formation in between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock. And we kept that service. Some of y'all probably don't remember that, but we kept that service for a couple years. But then something happened in September of 22. Does everybody remember what happened in September of 2022? Yeah, Mother Victoria came on. And because Mother Victoria joined us, can you believe you'll start your 4th year in September. It's crazy. You're finishing up your 3rd year. Yeah, like a flash. When she came back, I made the executive decision without any conversation with anybody whatsoever that we would immediately go back to concurrent services. I didn't ask anybody what they thought. I didn't really care what you thought, because I wanted to go back to what we used to do. Well, brothers and sisters, I'm here to tell you that while we continue to grow, we have not seen the bounce back, in particular with our attendance. Our giving has been and remained strong. But our attendance is lagging a little bit coming out of COVID. And we're far enough removed from COVID that it's time to reconsider what we do on Sunday mornings. And I'm here to first apologize to you all for making that decision without any counsel from anybody. It was the wrong thing to do, and I own it. And I did it out of excitement to have a colleague where we could continue to where we could go back to our concurrent services and the vision that was behind that. But I think it's stifled our growth a little bit. Back in April, so I didn't make the same mistake twice. Back in April, I called all of our worship leaders together. Our worship leaders, this included Altar Guild, contemporary worship, traditional worship, and all the things that go with that. All the clergy, some of the staff. Brought them all into the room and said, all right, we need to make a shift. It's time. What should that look like? And I brought a model for us to consider, and we worked on that model, thought all the different angles that we could possibly think of that we need to consider when assuming that this was the model we would move forward with. And surprisingly, though I don't know that everybody would choose the model that we chose, everybody came to a consensus that this was a good model. and that we can move forward with it. And it will bless the congregation, and it will allow us to see some growth if we're intentional about it. And then I took that model to the vestry meeting last month, and I said, this is what we've come up with. And again, the vestry affirmed. Not necessarily said, this is what I would choose, but affirmed that this is what has been discerned. Not decided unilaterally, not decided by the rector, decided by community who's considering as many angles as possible. Before I tell you what that schedule looks like and when it will be implemented, I want to give you a little bit of the rationale for thinking about realignment. One of the things that we know is that when we have concurrent services, we all show up before service and then we split. Some of us go down this hall, some of us go down that hall. Some of us go in this door, some of us go out that door. But brothers and sisters, I'm here to tell you that even in some of the largest Episcopal churches in the country, they don't have concurrent services. They don't have services that happen at the same time. You have to go to a place like St. Martin's in Houston or Incarnation in Dallas or some of the churches in the South to see. And we're talking about attendance with 800, 900, 1,000 people on a Sunday where they have concurrent services. I think it confuses people, especially visitors, when they come up and they're welcomed by our welcome ministers and they say they're here for worship, and the response is, well, which service? I think that's a huge consideration when we think about shifting our Sunday morning schedule. I'm not going to read all of these to you, but there's a couple of other things that I really want to make sure I point out to you. We are so blessed here at St. Christopher to have 2 full-time clergy and 2 retired clergy in our midst. And yet, though we are overflowing with clergy, if one of us is gone, we still have to get a sub. That makes no sense. We are a congregation and a size that really, by and large, in the Episcopal Church doesn't have 2 full-time clergy. And yet we are blessed because of your generous giving and our growth that we can have 2 full-time clergy. And so it doesn't really make a whole lot of fiscal sense or anything that gives us a sense of rhythm to have concurrent services with 2 clergy. It just doesn't make any sense. The other thing that I want to make sure that I mention to you is it's important to us. It might not be as important to you, but for the clergy, it's important for us to have a unified interaction with you on Sunday mornings. And we don't have that right now. Mother Victoria and I communicate all the time. We talk about what we want to think about in terms of seasons in the life of the church. But we don't share sermons. We don't share interactions with you. If somebody's doing the 8 o'clock service, the other one isn't. And I may miss, well, if I'm serving in the contemporary, I miss 2/3 of our congregation. If Mother Victoria is serving in contemporary, she misses 2/3 of our congregation on Sunday mornings. That's not okay. Right now, it's our reality because we have concurrent services. And so whether it's seasonally, whether it's because of the gospel message that we are called to proclaim, or whether it's relational, we feel that our current Sunday morning schedule is disjointed. At the very best, it's disjointed. And we want to have some cohesiveness across all 3 worshiping communities. I'll come back to it. We have 3 distinct worshiping communities in the life of this congregation. And with concurrent services, I think we do a disservice to both communities that worship at 10:30. Because that can create competition. It creates a disjointedness of the proclamation of the gospel and our worship. And there are some other secondary things that are up on the list. And this is not a cohesive or exhaustive list. This is just a sampling of some of the things that we had conversations with. So, with that, remembering that our summer schedule starts in 2 weeks. And we will go all of the month of June, July, and August with our summer schedule. We will begin a new Sunday morning schedule starting September 7th. So coming out of the summer routine and going into the fall and the new school year, we will start a new way of life. And I am mindful that this is not what everybody would choose. That's okay. I am mindful that you may have seen it differently, or you may want something that's a little bit different. That's okay. Come tell me. We're not going to change it, but come tell me. I want to hear what your concerns are. And the reason why I want to hear what your concerns are is because we haven't thought of everything. There are impacts to ministry on Sunday morning when you shift a service schedule, and we haven't thought of everything. So we need to know if this impacts you. If this impacts you in a way that you don't like the time, that's okay. Set your timer a little bit earlier or later. If this impacts your ministry and how you function, I need to know about it. Because we're going to take the entire summer to walk with all ministry leads to consider the different ways we need to adjust your ministry and help you do that so you're ready to hit the ground running in September. We'll talk a little bit about more of that in just a second. So here's the new Sunday morning schedule. You ready? Starting September 7th. We will have 8 o'clock, right one. Now, let me press pause before you all read the rest of that. Hang on, I'm going to go back. 8 o'clock, right one. Some of you all may be thinking to yourself, well, 8 o'clock, right one has never been asked to shift. They've never changed their service times. And you know what? You're right. So 8 o'clockers, you don't get to complain about anything. Even with formation being at a different time. Because we have not ever, since I've been here, moved your service time. All right? So, with that. Oh, no, now it died. It doesn't want to go back. There it is. All right. We will have 8 o'clock, right one. 9 o'clock, contemporary worship. 10:10 to 10:50 is formation. And 11 o'clock, right two. Now, you'll notice that this is a little bit different than what we had prior to Mother Victoria being here. And that is out of necessity and flow of the day. One of the reasons why the hospitality center is so important to have done before we start this new service schedule is so that those who attend the 8 o'clock service have a place to go and fellowship and have coffee and visit with one another, so they still have a place to be in before formation at 10:10, because that's the biggest adjustment for 8 o'clock, is that formation is not right after church anymore. It's a little bit later. But we're going to have a beautiful hospitality center for you to hang out in and drink coffee and have donuts and fellowship with one another. So hopefully this doesn't shift you too much. The other thing that we wanted to make sure we did was to not have back-to-back traditional services. That forces a quick turnaround in the sanctuary, and it also does some things to our musicians and our leaders that gets them in a hurry. And we wanted to avoid that. So that's why we have moved the contemporary service to the middle service, 9 o'clock. And the reason why we're starting at 10:10 for formation rather than 10 o'clock is because the contemporary service tends to go a little bit longer than traditional services because the culture of that service is different. And the flow of that liturgy is different. And we want to avoid having to rush any worship service. So we have a buffer built in. Now, what does that do? It shortens our formation time. But I think that's okay, because it's much better to have too little time than too much time. I would rather have formation where it leaves you wanting to come back for more than having you twiddle your thumbs for 15 minutes when we get to the end of our time together, especially with children and youth. So we will have a shortened time. The other thing that this allows that I think might hopefully encourage in particular the contemporary worship community, typically we don't see a lot of folks from the contemporary worship engaging in formation. Now that formation is open to them to go right after church, right after their worship. The other thing it does is typically because of the way the schedule has run, the choir has not been able to participate in formation because they're rehearsing. Now the hope is this will give them an opportunity to be part of formation as well. And then don't think for a second that because the traditional service is at 11, that gets to go on as long as it wants to. One of the things that we have considered is the fact that though these services all have their own challenges now that we will adapt to and will change our culture, is that we have to be succinct. We have to be on time. And we may have to shift liturgies just a little bit, but we're not going to rush. But we are going to hold ourselves accountable to a new way of life. These are some of the things that we identified as blessings and challenges with the new service. Now again, this is not exhaustive. One of the things I want to remind you once again is if you're a head of a ministry, we need to hear from you. I've tried to touch base with all ministry heads with this shift because they were all invited to this gathering back in April. But if I haven't, you can count on me reaching out to you. And if you don't hear from me by the end of this month, reach out to me because I want to walk with you in making sure we address all the challenges that come with a new service schedule. And I'm not going to read these to you. You can read these yourself. But you see some of the challenges and some of the blessings that come with a new service schedule. So, with that, I'm not going to take any questions just yet. I am going to take questions, Roger, so hang on. Remember what you're going to ask. I want to say a couple of things. You are going to be encouraged and held accountable to prepping yourself for this new service schedule. That's why I'm telling you now and not telling you the last Sunday of August. You have 3 months to think about it, to plan, to shift, to change your mindset when it comes to the Sunday morning flow. Part of that, part of the challenge that comes with that, and when I say challenge, I don't mean complication, I mean the challenge to you, is to remember how growth happens. Because we're going to grow because of this. How growth happens, though, is through your work. We had a gathering last night in my home of parents of children and youth. Not with the children and youth, just the parents. And one of the things that we talked about for more than just a minute or two was the idea of we need more children, we need more youth, we need more children, we need more youth. And I kind of made the joke, well, we have the orchard in the back, and they're growing, and we're going to go and pick them off when they're ready, and we'll just automatically, just out of thin air, have more children and youth, because that's how it works, right? Do you know how growth happens? Well, change, yes, but not for the sake of change. None of this is for the sake of change. It's for the sake of continuing to discern how the Holy Spirit is calling us to be St. Christopher. Yes, change comes and stimulates growth. You all, by extending an invitation to those who are not a part of this fellowship to come be a part of this fellowship. That's how it happens. And we saw last night when the core group of parents get together, fellowship and community starts to be sowed. We heard from more than one set of parents or guardians that one of the things that they love about St. Chris is when they arrive on Sunday morning, they get in conversation with somebody else and they turn around and their kids have disappeared. I know it sounds funny, but they've disappeared because this is their home. And they've connected with all of you. And they've gone down the hall because they see somebody they know, or you see them and you're engaged in conversation with them. This is their home. They're comfortable. This is where they want to be. Why would we not want that for others who are not currently a part of this fellowship? Why would we not want to extend that invitation to anybody that we encounter? And so, over the next 3 months, part of your preparation for this new service schedule on Sunday mornings is to start extending those invitations. Doing it in an authentic and genuine way to not just gain members, but to grow our community, grow our fellowship, grow the kingdom of God. Why would we not want that for all of our community here in League City? So I encourage you, part of your preparation is not just your own personal heartburn that you got to get over and take some Tums for. Part of your preparation is to prepare this congregation for growth by stimulating it. It's not the clergy that do that. It's the leaders of the church that do that. And you all are the leaders of the church. So that's a challenge for you. And that's a challenge from myself and Mother Victoria to take that bold step and be for others what someone else has been for you in this place. Now, with that, I'll take questions. Roger, I saw your hand first.
Would you define formation for me as different from Sunday school?
Sunday school. It is. Sunday school is a very 70s and 80s term, and we try to modernize our language a little bit, but it's Sunday school. That's what formation is. So Sunday school for all ages, 10:10 to 10:50. Good question, Roger. Thank you. Other questions about this, David?
So, I'm just going to make a statement that I appreciate the change because we're blessed with all of you doing good sermons. And as a writer, I understand that having to write a sermon every week is probably not a lot of fun because getting those words on paper, on that screen, can be hard. So this is going to give you all a little break every other week, which I think is a blessing.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, David. One of the things, stop it. One of the things that I want to make sure you understand is how the clergy schedule is going to work with this new schedule. So there will only be one of us that does 8 o'clock. So whoever does 8 o'clock, and we'll still do 2 weeks, whoever does 8 o'clock will preach for the whole day. So there'll be celebrant and preacher at 8 o'clock, and then preach at 9, preach at 9 and preach at 11. The other will celebrate 9 and 11. So it'll still be 2 weeks, but now everybody gets Mother Victoria's sermons for 2 weeks in a row. And everybody gets to sleep during Father Brian's sermons for 2 weeks in a row. So that's how the schedule is going to work. However, what this also does is allows us from time to time, listen, I wasn't going to say this out loud, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. Mother Victoria is long overdue for a sabbatical. And it's going to come sooner rather than later. And so what this allows us also to do is when she's gone for her sabbatical, we don't need any supply priest because then I'll just preach and serve and celebrate at all 3 services. Or when I'm gone, she'll do that. Do you see how that flows so much better and is a cohesive way for us to be in fellowship with one another? Thank you for that, David. I'll allow one or two more questions because then we need to do the most important part of today, which is to go bless our new pantry. That's the most important thing.
Not a question.
Yes, comment.
Because you're going to write to me. Yes, the nursery hours
Yeah.
will be extended. Confirmed.
Yes. So what we do now will be a part of our new schedule. So what Mother Victoria said, if you didn't hear it, we will still have nursery the whole morning. The hours just shift, right? So yes, all of that is consideration. One thing that is going to be new starting in September, and thank you, Bob McGregor, for being the one who's done this in the past and laying the foundation for others to do it now starting in September, is we will have an ongoing order of donuts and kolaches every Sunday. Not just for the sake of doing it. Food matters. And food matters in the kingdom of God because we break bread with one another. And so that will be coming back starting in September and will be with us every Sunday. Okay? One last comment or question. Marcia.
I think I heard a couple of weeks ago
Yeah. Great question. So part of our construction of the hospitality center is shoring up this entrance out going through Buckner Hall, because we do want to make sure that we're not disrupting contemporary worship with our hospitality center. That is being addressed. It's not going to be new doors, but it is being addressed. Yeah. All right. Now I'm going to hand things over to Mother Victoria. It's your show. Go.
Along the lines of blessings and thanksgivings, we have an amazing set of missions and ministries in this parish. Our outreach is astonishing. Larger parishes often cannot compare with the kind of mobilization that we're carrying out in the mission field, not just locally, but internationally now. And you'll hear more about that next Sunday at 9:15 in here in Buckner, right? As we hear from the Guatemalan prospecting group and what they've learned about our potentiality for ministry in Guatemala in the future. However, I want to say, as Jesus did, that the poor we will have with us always. And Jesus was first concerned about feeding people, because if they couldn't be fed, if their bodies were unnourished, they could not be nourished by the word or his teaching or even receive his healing. And so I would have to say that the foremost ministry, if not, in word and in deed, but in fact, is our food pantry. The work that we do in the world through the food pantry, starting with the local community, matters. And as the poor are with us always, their hunger is now increasing. And so today is the day we kick off our food drive for the summer to keep our pantry internally here in the kitchen filled so that we can get the food out to the street that folks need. We're going to go out now, however, to celebrate what is out at the street. It is our portal. It is our way of saying to the community, by waving a flag and saying, St. Christopher cares if you eat. And it is the little food pantry. It is a continuance of a program that is nationwide, but it was incepted by an Eagle Scout. And so I'll talk about that more when we get out to the pantry, because we need to get out to the pantry. The original pantry has now been replaced by 2 new, welcoming, beautiful pantries, so that the poor will also be honored by the invitation, the hospitality, by the equipment that we use, all right? And so when we get outside, Carla Homer, who is the lead for that ministry, will do some introductions so you can meet some of the ministers, and then we will go into the liturgy for the blessing of the pantries. Lizette and Alex have the liturgy. As you go out the door, please take one. It isn't a very long service, but I encourage you, if you can, to come out to the street.
Quickly. So if you can, we'll go out the center doors right here, and we'll go out to the pantry. We'll do this quickly. Worship may get started a couple minutes late, but that's okay. We want to make sure we honor this time.